Because, yo, what's up, guys? What is going on? Hope everybody's doing well. That scoreboard, I don't even want to repeat that. That's a scoreboard that should never be, least of all in a Champions League final, should never be in a Champions League final. That was appalling from Inter Milan. What was the point? As I'm watching the game, and I think everyone's telling themselves that, what was the point of playing with such heart, with such love and heart, just to get to the final and do absolutely, just completely fall flat on your face and not do anything? There was nothing from beginning to end. I counted maybe four sort of opportunities, so two of them being the closest one for Inter Milan to be able to score at least a goal. And I doubt that scoring two of those four opportunities that Inter Milan were going to do anything. They weren't going to come back. I mean, you never know, and it could have been the same thing that happened with Barcelona, but what was the point of all that so you can get to the final and do nothing? There was nothing. I was very disappointed. Yet at the same time, and maybe there's a discrepancy, some people might think, maybe you're thinking I'm contradicting myself. I absolutely loved what PSG did. And they, especially knowing at the beginning of the year, they were going to be eliminated from the Champions League. They were going to be eliminated from the Champions League. They let go of their most prized possession, Mbappe, and this was the team. And Luis Enrique said, "Oh, everybody knew this. They're starting from scratch. This was a team that the projects were going to be a year, like always, like with Chelsea, Manchester United. 2 years from now, we're going to have a better team. 2 years from now, we're going to be contenders for whatever the league that you're playing in or the Champions League." No, it started this year, right after. And Inter Milan, I don't know what happened. I think it was more than just tactically superior from PSG. Inter Milan, psychologically, they went into this game defeated already. I don't know why it was. I know that the Serie A just wrapped up, or it wrapped up later than the Ligue 1. So PSG already were champions of France, and Inter Milan were still waiting with Napoli, and in the end, Napoli ended up winning. But you had time. You had time to recover. I don't know what it was. It's almost as if they felt they didn't deserve. They played as if they didn't deserve to be in the final. And I don't want to say, oh, in that case, because I know a lot of the people were telling me already, a lot of Barca fans are thinking, if that was us and we had Koundé and we had Balde, we would have taken it to PSG. That definitely wouldn't have happened. I don't know. I will say this. That is the game that I want to watch. I've never been so my curiosity has never been piqued so much as to want to watch a PSG versus Barcelona game. Like right now, not next year when they're, some players are going to leave, a lot of players are going to arrive, it's going to be a completely different setup. I want to see that right now. Even as a friendly. Obviously the stakes are going to be different, but I want to see if that would be true. Because I got to admit, nobody thought that Inter Milan were going to play beautiful champagne caviar football. But that they were going to bring that aggressiveness, that tenacity, that grit. Absolutely. They were going to make it hard for PSG. Absolutely. That never happened. That never happened. There were no signs of that anywhere. In the midfield, just thinking about that right now, Vitinha by himself, obviously with Neves, but Vitinha, masterclass. I say that very little, masterclass. And I'm happy. Personally, I'm happy for Vitinha because Vitinha, this was, I think, last season where he was being benched and people were saying that he wasn't that good. I'm being biased because I personally like his style of play. But Vitinha was... chapeau. Hats off to the whole team. But Vitinha, what a player. What a player. And what was it? Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, Barella. They just couldn't. They just couldn't complete a single pass to be able to create something up front at all. It was impressive. It was impressive to see. And I don't think, look, as much as PSG were and Luis Enrique reigned supreme with the tactics, I would have expected at least one or two plays from Inter Milan. And there was nothing. Nothing. I'm talking about the 4 times that I saw them. And I'm going to list them right now if I could remember. Barella being one of them in the second half. Shoot it. He passes it instead to Ram, and it gets blocked by Donnarumma. But I think he was kind of, I don't know, he was losing his balance or whatever, and that's why he ended up. And then it closed off. Maybe you couldn't see like with the replay the angle, but shoot it, bro. I think personally that he had an open window to be able to shoot. I'm all for passing. I'm all for passing when you see the other guy having a better angle opportunity. Just like PSG's first goal, that was chef kisses to Doué for that. That was one of the best things I think Doué did, because if knowing Doué that he likes to carry the ball a little bit more, he likes to travel with the ball a little bit more than he should, ended up picking out Hakimi. Brilliant from Doué for that. Brilliant from Doué. And then the other two that I think one of the two had to be a goal from Thuram, the corner kick, the header, completely beat his marker and ends up heading it outside. It was right, I think it was the 44th, 45th minute, right when the whistle was going to blow for the first half, and it goes out. I don't know. I don't know if that would have changed the game, but that was a goal to me. That was a goal. That was, I think at that point it was like 2-0. That would have been a 2-1, or it was 3-0. That needed to go in. And then a Serbi too. He had a header, went over, like many headers that just go. It was far, it wasn't close, but the Thuram header, that was a goal. And then, and this was just an attempt. It was just them approaching. It was Çalhanoğlu passing it to Thuram, and Pacho was laser focused. Absolutely phenomenal game from Pacho. And Marquinhos finally, after, what is it, like 12, 13 years, I think, finally lifts. I still think Marquinhos is, he's a badass in the back. Great defender, gives his all. Might not be the most technical in terms of like defenders when you're thinking about the greats, but that was sensational from Marquinhos. But Pacho ends up intercepting the ball. That was Thuram was just going to push it in. It was going to be another goal. And I think when you see all these chances from Inter Milan, they just weren't sharp. They didn't have that acuity, that keenness. I don't know. They were just sort of sloppy. They were losing the ball. I think it was after the second goal, the Doué goal, when you started seeing a little bit more from Inter Milan getting into the game. Not really there, still way behind PSG. PSG were just completely, there was dominion over Inter Milan, but you saw that maybe they could get something. But Lautaro Martinez, invisible. Thuram at times being able to hold the ball like he does really well. Barella, Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, like something. Dumfries, I was expecting Dumfries to like run that wing, just dominate that wing like he did against Barcelona. Nothing. Against also, we probably saw one of the best wing backs in the world with Hakimi and Bruno Mendes. I think it had to do with like psychologically, they just weren't there from minute one. It wasn't even after the second goal where they just felt defeated and deflated. No, it was just from the very beginning. And I'm going to say even before that in the locker room, it's as if they were an inexperienced team. Like they never been there. And what's sad is 2 years ago, they were playing against City in the final. And look, City were the better team, man. The campaign that they had, this was a really good City team. Lukaku had an opportunity to be able to tie things up, or I think to win the game. That was a different face of Inter Milan, where they had a chance to be able to win. Like maybe you might say they wouldn't have deserved it. City were the better team, but you would understand that this is Inter Milan. It's just not any team, and this team played good enough to be able to beat this City team. Not this time. They were completely run over by this PSG team. The whole entire game. People were messaging me and telling me what a boring game. I didn't think it was a boring game. I thought it was a very entertaining game, not because of the way they were humiliating Inter Milan, just because of how collectively well and organized the pressing from PSG were playing. And Desiree Doué was their best attacker for maybe the first 20-30 minutes of the first half. Had the most touches, most opportunities, created the assist, then scored the goal. And then he kind of disappeared. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but he kind of disappeared, and then he reappeared maybe 25 minutes later. There was a huge gap of Desiree Doué not doing anything. And then he appeared with a brilliant pass to Dembele that had a superb game, just like everybody else in PSG. And behind the shoulder of I can't remember the guy's name, the blonde guy, the one that was marking Desiree Doué. All Dembele had to do was just get the aim right, and that was his goal. And he deserved a goal, especially with Kvaratskhelia having so many opportunities and missing, and finally getting his goal, which was a pass from Dembele. I would have thought Dembele would have gotten his goal. I think he deserved to get his goal, especially with that Ballon d'Or that's coming up that everyone's talking about. Yamal, now it's Dembele. He deserved to get his goal. And Kvaratskhelia, great goal and great game. The defense from Kvaratskhelia when he was coming back, that was to me one of the best highlights of the game. Going back and defending against Dumfries, hauling back, beating, of all people in that Inter Milan team, Dumfries. that fighting spirit in Kvaratskhelia to go back and actually beat him in the foot race, take the ball away from him and recover for PSG. Magnificent. Desiree Doué, I could go more on Desiree Doué, but I don't want to. This whole thing that they compare him with Neymar, I don't like that. I think that's absurd. There's similarities, obviously, the way they even look. The fact that he's a crafty and skillful player, very tricky. Him saying Neymar was his idol. Let the guy just play. The same thing was happening with not the comparisons, but the same thing where they were blowing him up more than he should be. Mbappe after winning a World Cup, and Mbappe is a good player, but he's no Messi, he's no Ronaldo. And the same thing they're trying to do with Desiree Doué. I don't like that, but great player. 6 months ago, I don't think anybody knew of Desiree Doué unless you're a Rams fan. Nobody knew about Desiree Doué. And look where he's at now. Look where he is at now. Amazing from this kid. I do remember, I want to say something about Hakimi when he came into this PSG team, alongside I think Ramos and Messi at the time. They were trying, because he came from Inter Milan, Dortmund, Real Madrid, and there was potential in this guy. But as he started the first couple of seasons for PSG, I never saw that potential manifest itself. There were signs there. Obviously, hardworking, was a starter for PSG, but he was never at the heights of any of these great left backs. He was a good left back, but this year, one of the best right back at the moment. Not just this game, but this whole Champions League campaign. Extraordinary from Hakimi. And I feel for the fans for Inter Milan, because I was kind of more going for Inter Milan to win this finally, because of 2 years ago being in a final, the semi-final that they gave us against Barcelona, that combative spirit that Inter Milan has. I was going for Inter Milan. I wanted Inter Milan to win. I'm not going to lie. And then this happens. This was the complete antithesis of what Inter Milan represent. I just can't believe that they did this. I can't even really get mad, because I know that's not really Inter Milan. That doesn't represent Inter Milan. It was very representative of who they were in this game, but it's not Inter Milan. It's not something that you're like, oh yeah, this is typical. No, it's not Inter Milan. It is not Inter Milan. And again, congratulations to PSG, because no one thought, they weren't even the dark horse. You never would have betted against this PSG side. Ever. It's maybe a fluke they beat Liverpool. They got lucky with Aston Villa. And then Arsenal. It's like, no, Inter Milan are going to win this. Everybody was going for Liverpool, Inter Milan, Barcelona, So congrats to them. Thank you so much for watching as always, guys. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.